Even if your best feels like you're a little bit of a mess, even if it feels like you're struggling, acknowledge that you are doing your best and that you do deserve care even when you feel anxious, even when you feel unsure of yourself.
Welcome to Dating Apps, the podcast where we swap wild dating stories, share laughs, and serve up real talk experiences and advice. So let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome back to Dating Yaps, the podcast where we overshare so you don't have to. I'm your host, Alex Daly. And today, I guess I'm going to be the one oversharing because I've got a little solo episode in the works for y'all. We're going to mix it up. And yeah, honestly, solo eps are a little bit harder for me than the ones with guests because I have to be the one to dig into my own shit instead of asking someone else about theirs. So I've got to be a little bit vulnerable. I'm going to dig deep, but it's a good exercise for me. And I actually have like a lot to talk about and a lot to share. So I want to let you guys in on a little bit about what's going on in my world, what I've been up to, some revelations I've had recently. And then we're going to dive into a topic that gets overlooked in the dating world a lot. And I think just can get overlooked in life in general, but I think it's one that's so important and one that is in the forefront of my mind right now. And that topic is compassion. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how we can have more compassion for ourselves and others when it comes to dating. But before we get into that, I want to have a little fun and talk about what's been going on in my life and my world. Let's have a little bit of silliness, a little bit of levity before we get into the big stuff. And I want to introduce a new segment to the pod. And I want to just, talk about what I'm crushing on. And, in the episodes that I have guests on in the future, I want to know who they're crushing on. And it's not necessarily a who. I think it could be a thing, it could be a concept, it could be a product, it could be really abstract. You could be like, oh, I'm crushing on springtime. Look at these gorgeous flowers. It's giving me life, that kind of thing. So, whatever is lighting you up, I think is going to be the theme of this crush segment. So, I want to talk about my crush of the moment, which is 1000% Lady Gaga. Okay, so I recently went to Coachella. It was a couple weeks now. By the time this pod comes out, it will be a million years ago, and you'll be like, Alex, why the fuck are you talking about Coachella? But I don't care. I'm never going to stop talking about this Lady Gaga performance. It was mind-blowing. Like, I cannot describe to you, she is an artist. And I have known this for quite some time. Lady Gaga has been around for decades at this point. It's not a surprise to anyone that she is like an iconic pop diva of our generation, but seeing her perform in the desert at Coachella with this new album in her new era, I cannot describe, like, our jaws were on the floor. Like, she was the headliner's headliner, and she came to bring it. She came to show up. She performed. She was giving her literal all, and she is just stunning. She is the definition of an artist, the definition of a performer, the definition of a queen. Like, Lady Gaga is mother. I cannot describe. Like, just she puts so much care into every single thing that she does. Every single detail is planned out. She looks stunning. Her dancers look stunning. The sets were incredible. Like, literally, as soon as it started, it was incredible. I wanted to go back and watch the set, and Coachella had a live stream for that performance, but they took most of it down because, really belongs to the artist and whatever. But some people had still had their iPhone videos up from Coachella. So I clicked on one and I watched it, and it was the opening that she did. She opened with Bloody Mary, and then it went right into Abracadabra. And she comes out, she is like at the top of this humongous, I don't know, it was like costume slash set. She's at the top. It looks like a giant dress. If you have ever seen The Nutcracker, Mother Ginger is played by usually a drag queen and sitting on top of like stilts, a platform, and then they make it look into a giant dress, a skirt, and then there's dancers underneath it. It was very much that, but on acid. And so she comes out, she's at the top of this humongous platform that looks like she's wearing a giant skirt, and you just hear someone in this cell phone video that's on YouTube from Coachella, and somebody in the background just goes, "Holy shit." And that is exactly how we all felt because it was just incredible. And she just comes out and her voice just carries, and the dress opens up. There's dancers in cages underneath. Everyone is so coordinated. Like, wow, 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 wow is all that I can say. And I had listened to the album before going to Coachella, but after hearing her perform it live is just, it is next level. After that, I haven't stopped listening to Mayhem since I went to Coachella. It is so good. If y'all have not listened to the new Lady Gaga album Mayhem, you need to put it on immediately and you need to put it on repeat because every time I listen to it, I like it more. There's so many bops. It's a great dance album, so much energy. There's also a lot of range. I will say there are some albums that I love that there's like literally no skips on, like Beyonce's Lemonade, Beyonce's Renaissance. I'm a humongous Beyonce stan. So those are my examples. I will say that there are a couple of skips on this album, but very few. It's so good. And she's just a performer. There was actually a moment where her mic actually cut out for a couple of seconds in one of the opening songs at Coachella, and everybody had a little panic moment for a second, but luckily they got it up and running pretty quickly again. Then in one of her later segments when she was just talking to the audience, which by the way, when she talks to the audience, you feel like she is talking directly to you. Like that's what I mean by she is a performer. She knows her audience. She's playing right to you. You're just like, I can't believe Lady Gaga is speaking to me. But anyway, so yes, when she was speaking to the audience, she was like, I'm so sorry my mic cut out there for a second. At least you guys know I sing live. She's just like able to make light of things. And yeah, it was just stunning. There's like one of her songs, it says in the lyrics of the song 11:59. It's like part of the lyrics, and literally people were like looking at their clocks, looking at their watches. It was 11:59 when she was singing it. Like she planned this to the T. She is a queen. She is mother. So Lady Gaga, absolutely my crush of the week, my crush of the month, my crush of the season. Probably I think I'm going to be listening to Mayhem from now until the fall. I don't know. So y'all go listen to it. Lady Gaga has made a comeback. She is just a performer of our generation. So we are incredibly lucky to have her. I was incredibly lucky to witness it. If I had only seen Lady Gaga at Coachella, it would have been worth it. Like that's how good that performance was. But of course, I didn't just see Lady Gaga. I saw a ton of other music and had a ton of fun. And that's also what I want to get into. These are my recent revelations. So as you know, if you've been listening to the pod, I have, completely changed my life from a few years ago until now at this big age. And it's not something that was easy, but it's something that has been so worthwhile. And one thing that has been really a value add to me at this point in my life, which I feel like is so funny to say, like I literally turned 40 this year and I'm like, I am in my rave era, loving going out and seeing music and dancing and having fun. And it's not something that I foresaw for my life. I didn't think I would be 40 years old here, childless and going to raves and like staying out until sometimes like 3, 4 in the morning. And yet here I am and I'm having so much fun doing it. And it's also, I think, like in my past life, which was a few years ago, I would have been really intimidated by rave culture and like going out and going to these sort of events. And I've been introduced to this by my boo. So this is large part and thanks to him indoctrinating me in this culture. But I went to a show with him earlier this winter and, I'm game. Like I will go to anything. And if he's like, oh, this is going to be a good show. This is a great artist, great producer, whatever, like it's going to be fun. I'm like, okay, great. I'll sign me up. I'll go. And I went to this one event and I was like, okay, this is like not really my scene, but like, let's go, let's vibe, have fun. And I'm like seeing all these other people who like this clearly is their scene and they're like well versed in the culture and the music and whatever. And I'm feeling like a little bit like an outsider. And I'm just like, okay, well, this is not really my thing. This is their thing. But like, if I am here, I might as well have a really good time. And so then I just really started like listening to the music and like noticing how everyone around me was just kind of like doing their own thing and vibing and having fun. And people were like, dancing, and it didn't matter if they were dancing super weird or by themselves or whatever. Like they were just doing their own thing and they were having a fun time. And I was like, well, if I'm here, I might as well have a fun time too. So I just got into the music and I just started dancing on my own. And then I was just like, wait, I am having a really fun time. Like, this is really fun. This is really cool. And like, no one cares what you look like. No one cares what you're wearing. You can wear literally anything. Like, I was like, oh, what am I going to wear to this? And it really doesn't matter because there's such a wide variety of things going on and different people are wearing different things. Like some people are by themselves, some people are in a big group. And it's just like, as long as you are having fun, like that is what it is about. And you can express yourself into individually however that comes out for you. And a thought that came to me during this particular show was like, well, look at these people. They're like wearing rave clothes. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. Or I can't do that because I'm not a rave girl. And then I was like, well, okay, well, what if I did wear those sort of clothes and then I went to a rave? Wouldn't I actually be a rave girl? Also, no one would know the difference. No one know the difference if I wasn't previously a raver. If I showed up at a rave wearing rave attire, listening and dancing to the music, no one would know that I hadn't done that before. So I feel like we can take that mindset of trying something new and also like a little bit of the fake it till you make it sort of thing, but it's not even faking it till you make it because it's like if you are doing the thing, then you're doing the thing. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to prove that you've always done this thing. You don't have to prove that you're a member of the rave community. If you're at a rave and you're raving, then you're a member of the rave community. So I don't know. It's been super fun. And I've had some friends who are my age, late 30s, early 40s, whatever. And they're like, oh my God, like, don't you feel like you're so old and you're like the oldest one there? I'm like, actually, really, no. Like, there's such a wide range of ages. And I found that it's like a very accepting community. And people really are there just to like listen to music and have a good time. What is not to like about that? So I guess that's part of what I'm crushing on also is just live music, rave culture, and I love to dance. So it's a good time. It's like it's so much fun and I want to get everyone on board. I want everyone to go out and have more fun, especially cuz like it's summer now, it's warm weather. Like go out and have a good time. And like, yes, I know you're tired. Maybe you might be tired the next day. But you know what? You're probably going to be tired anyway. Like I'm tired on a regular day when I didn't go out the night before. So I might as well go out sometimes and have some fun because life is short. We don't have our youth forever. If I have this energy now, I'm going to use it. I'm going to go out, I'm going to have fun. And I'm really able to do this lifestyle now because of all the changes that I've made in my life, because of the choices that I've made. I'm here. I don't have kids also. So I feel like it's almost my job to go out and have fun and have a party and be living my life to the fullest so that my wonderful, beautiful people who have chosen to become parents can populate the earth for us. Y'all are populating the earth, and I am going to enjoy the party while I can. So I really feel like it's just been adding enjoyment to my life. It's really expanded my world, and I think more people need to try it. I feel like if you are in a funk, try going to a rave. Just try it. Just try it. And here's the thing is that you can always leave. You can always go home. If you're like, I'm tired, go home. If you're like, this is not my thing, go home. But also like give it a few minutes. Don't just stand there for 10 minutes awkwardly and be like, I don't like it. I can't, this isn't for me. Give it 30 minutes, give it an hour. And then after that you don't want to be there, then go home. But I feel like it's great to try something new. I feel like it's great to put yourself out there. We have to get outside of our comfort zones to expand our world and experience new things. And isn't that what life is all about? And who knows, you might even like it. You might even like it. And I promise you, no one is going to look at you funny and be like, that person shouldn't be here. Like that's not a thing. There's so many different people there from all walks of life. As long as you are there and you are, respecting the culture. We don't want people standing in the front just having a coffee date when you should be paying attention to the music and having a good time, whatever. But if you can like let go a little bit, like loosen the reins, loosen up, have a little bit of fun, listen to the music, vibe, have your party favors, do whatever you need to do to get in the mood. But like, it's so much fun. People need to rave more. People need to party more. People need to go out and dance with their friends. Sometimes you have to stay up past your bedtime. I'm here to say that for all of my friends in their 30s and in their 40s. Yes, I know sleep is important. It's very important to me too. You can make up for it. You can make up for it another time. You can make it up for it another day. Sometimes it is worth being a little bit tired to go out and have fun and vibe and dance. So anyway, that is what is up with me. I have become a raver girl at the age of 40. So if anybody else has a similar experience, DM me, slide into my DMs, tell me that it's the best. And I think I want other people to hear it too. So anyway, that's what I'm vibing on. Lady Gaga, music, dancing, rave culture. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit. We are going to talk about compassion. I think it's a really important topic. So what sparked this is I have been taking classes throughout the years, personal enrichment and whatnot. And I've always been drawn to things where you can learn and grow as a person. So this spring, I've been taking a class on compassion. And I just think it's such an interesting topic. It is one that I have struggled with in the past, especially around having self-compassion, but something I've worked on a lot in therapy. And I would just like to talk about it here on the pod. And I want to talk about how we can bring compassion into our lives and our dating lives and how we can have more compassion for ourselves and others. It's a really important topic and we're going to get into it. I think compassion can be overlooked in dating. I think it can be overlooked in life in general, but if we are able to cultivate more compassion for ourselves and others in dating, I think we can have a lot more enjoyment and also maybe have more success in our dating life. And success can be defined in many ways, but I want to define success here in this context as just enjoying your time dating and taking it as a learning and growing experience. So, to get into a quick definition of compassion, it is noticing suffering and wanting to help. That's just a really quick and simple definition of it. So, to further define compassion in Buddhism, compassion is defined as the heartfelt wish that others be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And it's not just the feeling of empathy for someone's pain, but it's also the motivation to help relieve it. A few key points about compassion in the Buddhist context are that it is active and not passive. So it's not just feeling bad for someone. That's not compassion. It is noticing their suffering and wanting to help relieve it. And this is universal. So true compassion in Buddhism is extended to all beings, even those that we dislike or find it difficult to bring compassion to. And we're going to get more into that in a moment. But it is also linked with wisdom. So compassion is considered most effective when it's paired with insight into the nature of suffering, impermanence, and interdependence. So I love this concept of impermanence in Buddhism. I actually have on my arm, you can't really see it here, but I do have a Buddhist saying tattooed on my arm that is right now. It's like this. So I think sometimes in our little human brains, we can get caught up in our suffering and we can think like, oh God, this feels terrible. I don't know what to do. I'm always going to feel this way, but that's just not true. Buddhism reminds us that nothing is permanent. Everything is flowing, coming and going. So just because you or someone else is suffering right now doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. And I think that's just a beautiful thing for us to always come back to. And compassion is also a key part of the path to enlightenment. And that's just where one aspires to help all beings awaken to their highest self. And I love that. So we are here to be our highest selves in our dating lives, as well as other areas of life as well. So I want to get into some of the core elements of compassion. The first is awareness. So this is just noticing the suffering or the struggle, which in dating, suffering and struggling can be found multiple places, right? When you're swiping on the apps, maybe you're not getting a match, or maybe you have matches, but the conversations are just not going how you hoped. Can you just notice those things instead of attaching to those thoughts and being like, this conversation is going badly? Can you just notice it instead of being like, the dating apps are terrible. It's never going to get better. I'm never going to meet someone this way. Can you just notice that you're just struggling right now, right? Right now, it's like this. It might not always be like that. So the next component I want to talk about is empathy and how you can just emotionally connect with yourself and others when you notice other people's suffering or your own. And sometimes we struggle with having empathy for ourselves, right? Like maybe you made a mistake, maybe you forgot to respond to someone and then they unmatched you and then you're like, "Oh my god, like I'm a bad person." But can you just have a little bit of empathy and compassion for yourself in that instance and say, "I'm a human. Sometimes humans make mistakes." We talked about awareness and empathy, and then another key component is action. So again, this is not a passive thing. Compassion, you need action, the desire to soothe, to support, and to try to reduce that pain. So that's a key component in having compassion. So I want to start by talking about how we can have more compassion for ourselves in dating. So dating can poke at your insecurities and self-doubt, and practicing self-compassion is going to be really essential in helping you to feel better during these times that can be sometimes more difficult in dating. So here's what that can look like. Dating can bring up a lot of feelings of anxiety, and it can poke at a lot of your insecurities. So one thing that you can do in this case to have more self-compassion is to just pause and name it. So maybe you are waiting for a text back from someone. You're waiting to hear from someone after a first date. That is a really natural reaction, is to have anxiety in that moment and be like, "Oh, I wonder if that person liked me. I'm not hearing from them right away. Like, I don't know what to do." That's a very normal feeling, first of all. So just pausing and noticing, like, this is anxiety and I am a human, and it makes sense that I would feel anxiety right now because I just had a really fun date and I had a good time and I hope that I hear from this person, but I haven't heard from them yet. So I'm just noticing this anxiety come up, and that's okay. And that's really like all it has to be. So it's almost like taking a little step back from that action of like texting or hearing from someone and just like noticing, like, I feel a little bit anxious right now. And that makes sense. And then we can step into action. So maybe if you are feeling anxiety, you want to try a quick grounding tool to help calm yourself and get back, ground yourself. So maybe you can like place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath. I'm a huge fan of a deep breath. Like, you have no idea how regulating it is for your body. Do one right now. I already feel better. So just pause, take a deep breath, and say something kind to yourself. I know that's hard. That's a hard one. The last piece, if you're not there yet, that's okay. But can you just pause and take a deep breath? And then try saying something kind to yourself. Be like, "You know what? I look cute today." And then maybe you can even come up with a little mantra for yourself, like, "I'm doing my best right now." And even if your best feels like you're a little bit of a mess, even if it feels like you're struggling, acknowledge that you are doing your best and that you do deserve care even when you feel anxious, even when you feel unsure of yourself. Okay, here's another case where we can have self compassion in dating. Maybe you had a bad date or just an awkward moment. You can try to reframe this. Having a bad date or an awkward moment is not a failure. Try to reframe. This is just data collection. This is just one experience. If nothing else, maybe it's a funny story, right? Like, we're talking on dating apps here. We love a funny story. And sometimes having a funny story come out of an awkward situation is best case scenario. Like, let's talk about it. Let's turn it into something fun. Let's reframe that moment. And then we want to get back into action. After that awkward moment, share it with a friend. Talking to a friend is so helpful. The best thing that I find is going for a walk with a friend, because walking is also very regulating for your body and for your nervous system. If you can walk and talk with a friend, like, that is basically like a free therapy session right there. So I highly recommend, if you can't get out for a walk with your friend, maybe you can go for a walk and call your friend or voice note your friend. Just get your thoughts out loud, share what happened, share that awkward moment. It's going to take some of the power away from that awkward moment, and maybe you can laugh about it. Maybe your friend will have some wisdom to share, or maybe they'll have a similar experience so you can feel less alone in your awkward, vulnerable story. And here's another scenario: when you're single and dating and struggling with compassion, just notice your thought spirals. Maybe you are struggling on the apps to get a match, or just like going on one date after another where you're like, I'm not interested. Maybe it's me. Everybody else seems to be able to meet someone. Just again, pause, take that step back, take that deep breath, and just realize that you are not going to be in this situation forever. Maybe you feel that way in this moment. The moment will pass. Try to let go of comparison. Again, give yourself that self compassion and say, I'm doing my best. I'm taking actions and I'm moving in the direction that I want to go. That is success right there. That is success. So noticing those small wins can be a form of self-compassion. And if you do find yourself struggling with comparing yourself to other people, other relationships, maybe just try to remove yourself from it. If somebody keeps showing up on your social media feed that is making you feel bad about yourself or making you constantly compare yourself, maybe you unfollow or you just mute them, because honestly, out of sight, out of mind. And we do what we have to do to preserve ourselves and protect our peace. And then one more piece is that maybe you can shift your thinking by journaling or talking to a friend about what is going well in your dating life right now. And really, I know it sounds corny, but gratitude is so important. It's such a compassion builder. And the more you are able to notice what is going well in your life, the more your brain is going to pick up on those cues, and they're going to see more. You're going to see more and more of the things that are good and the things that are going well in your life. And that is a form of having self-compassion in dating. Okay, so now let's shift into talking about having compassion for others in dating. Dating can be messy, and everyone brings their own fears and wounds to the table. Showing compassion to others doesn't mean that you have to tolerate bad behavior. It just means that you are showing up with an understanding and care and curiosity when and where you can. So when somebody seems nervous or awkward on a date, instead of judging that person, maybe just gently acknowledge the tension. Maybe you just say, yeah, first dates can be awkward, huh? And you just like take some of the power away from that anxiety and that struggle. And then that person feels like you understand them, that you see them in that moment, that you have felt those feelings of being on an awkward first date before. And maybe you can even laugh about it a little bit. And when you're looking at someone across from you on a date, shift your mindset. Think of them as a full human being, not just, the profile on the app, because that's not always a good representation of that person. You're trying to get across as much information as you can on an app, but not everybody's good at writing out a profile. Not everybody has amazing pictures. They are so much more than what's on that profile. Okay, now here's something that can be hard. Maybe somebody opens up about a painful past or hard things on a date. Can you listen to them without jumping in to fix or even judging them about what they just said? Sometimes it is as simple as just saying, thanks for sharing that. So that person knows that you heard them. And sometimes that's all you need. And it can really mean a lot to someone else to be acknowledged for their pain. And you don't have to fix it. Just remember, everybody has a backstory, and curiosity is a form of compassion. Can you just be curious? If somebody shares something hard and you're not sure what to say, you can say, thanks for sharing that. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that meant for you? And just coming at them with curiosity can help them feel heard and feel like they are being seen with a little bit of empathy, and can help them open up even more. And if you're dating someone who's struggling with their own confidence or their own emotions, don't take it personally. Their struggle doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. So just again, coming back to this notion that everyone is a full human being, everyone is showing up with their own past, and can we just witness it? Can we just sit there and witness it with that person? If you want to get further into action, you can set some clear boundaries if needed, but without blame. So an example of this is, I care about you, but I also need to protect my peace right now. This can be a hard conversation to have. It's probably one that would be happening a little bit further down the line in dating, but I think ultimately we have to take care of ourselves sometimes in order to be able to show up for other people. So in that case, boundaries are a really good way to do that. Now, I want to talk about when it's really hard to be compassionate. So dating isn't always smooth. And that's really when we need compassion the most. So, here are a few common tough moments and what you can actually do to stay grounded and compassionate in those moments, the harder moments of dating. Okay. We're going to right off the bat, the toughest one, rejection. That is what everyone is scared of in dating. It never feels great. Even if you're pretty sure it's the right thing, being rejected, it just it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. So it's really hard. So, can you pause before reacting? Take a deep breath again before you spiral, before you go into the negative self talk. See if you can practice talking to yourself like you would a friend. Just remind yourself this hurts, this stings, but it doesn't define me. And just because I was rejected by this person, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that I won't find anyone else. It just means that the connection with this person was not going to work out. It could work out with someone else, and it probably will. And getting past this connection that's not in alignment is actually going to help you move forward and find the connection that is right for you. And also just normalize it. Just realize that everyone faces rejection, literally everyone, as a part of dating. It's not a personal failure. It doesn't mean that you are bad. It doesn't mean that you are wrong. It doesn't mean that you are ugly. It doesn't mean that you are never going to find someone. It just means that this person wasn't right for you. It doesn't mean that another person won't be. Another person will be right for you. And you have to face that rejection in order to find the person who is going to be right for you. If you want to take a little bit of action here, maybe you can, again, journal your feelings or talk about it with someone, a friend, a close loved one, a therapist who can help remind you of your self worth when you're feeling a little bit lower. And again, that's totally normal. All right, here's another tough one, a breakup. Breakups are the literal worst. They're so hard to get through. This could be maybe you ended things or maybe it was a mutual breakup. It doesn't matter. It's always hard. It's always tough. But you really just want to be honest and be kind. So you have to say what's true, but in a way where you consider the other person's feelings. If you're the one doing the breaking up, you want to consider the person in front of you. So allow room for sadness, for yours and theirs. Even if you're the person doing the breaking up, you're often experiencing sadness too. So just recognize that that's a natural part of the breakup. And you want to do this in a really respectful way. Avoid ghosting or vanishing. I know it's hard to have those tough conversations where you're going to have to tell someone something that they don't want to hear. But even a short, respectful message is more compassionate and a better way to approach things than just disappearing into the night. It often hurts more to that other person than just having that frank conversation of like, hey, I don't feel the connection. It's tough, but you got to do it. And to take this into action, you want to plan what you want to say ahead of time so that you're able to be clear and gentle and really intentional with your words. Okay, another case where it's really hard to have compassion in dating when you have been ghosted. It does often hurt more if the person just vanishes out of thin air because you're like, well, what happened? Where did they go? And in this case, it does hurt, it does sting, but you want to try to have self-compassion in this scenario and try not to take it personally. Ghosting really often says more about the other person than it does about you. It really is probably saying that they are not able to deal with tough emotions. They're not able to be forthcoming with their words and their feelings. And so they just chose to protect their peace by not saying anything. And that stinks, but it's really not about you. It's about them not being able to have the words and have the tougher conversations. And you want to really resist the urge to shame someone, try to have compassion for that person, maybe who is struggling with saying what they mean. Try not to react out of blame or anger because it's not going to help anyone. It's going to eat away at your own energy, and you want to stay compassionate for yourself and even this other person in this case. I know it's hard, but you want to let go, protect your peace. If maybe you unfollow them on social media, do whatever you need to do, but from a calm and caring place. One other scenario where it might be tough to have compassion is maybe you've been on a couple of dates with this person and you're just not feeling the spark. You're not feeling the connection and you need to let someone down. This is, the opposite of ghosting. You are going to sit down and you want to be direct and not vague and say, hey, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. Unfortunately, I'm just not feeling the connection that I'm looking for. So I think it's best for us to part ways here. And it's better to have this conversation sooner rather than later. If you know it's not the right connection for you, it's better to say it so that you can both move on rather than dragging it out. Brene Brown says that clear is kind. I think that really applies here. It's going to ultimately help both of you move on so that you can find a better connection that works for both of you separately. And you can always acknowledge their effort as well. I really enjoyed meeting you, et cetera, et cetera. But again, you just want to avoid ghosting. Be honest, be respectful, be kind, and you can keep it short and simple. You really don't have to overthink it. So, these are just a few ways that you can have more compassion for yourself and others in dating. Again, it's not easy. It's tough. Dating pokes at a lot of insecurities, it brings a lot of feelings up. But when we bring compassion into dating, it can really help just humanize the whole experience. It can humanize the person across from you. You can recognize yourself and the ways that you are human and maybe not perfect. And that's okay. So, again, as a recap, compassion is noticing pain and wanting to help relieve it. It really matters in dating because it helps build connection, trust, and softness with both yourself and other people. And practicing with yourself and others helps dating feel less like a struggle and more like exploration. We can really learn a lot about ourselves through dating. And I think one important outcome of practicing compassion is that it shifts our whole outlook on life. When we regularly engage in compassion, we begin to see what really matters, not success, not perfection, but it's actually connection, kindness, and a shared humanity. Compassion helps us focus less on fear, judgment, or competition, and it helps you focus more on being present and caring. And isn't that what we all want? And I love this quote. I want to end on this quote from the Dalai Lama. It says, "If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion." So it's a really great summary of the Buddhist view that compassion benefits the one who gives it and the one who receives it. And I just think it's so beautiful. When we have compassion for ourselves and others, it's going to help just everyone feel better. It's going to help you have more success in your dating life and just have a more human experience overall. So I really appreciate you all coming to this compassion for self and others in the dating world. It's been wonderful to spend the time with you. And thank you all for listening along and spending time with me. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would love it if you would share it with a friend, maybe somebody who's struggling in dating, maybe someone who just needs to have a little bit more compassion for themselves. And if you're feeling kind and compassionate, maybe rate and review the podcast. Give us a few little stars. And I really enjoyed this one, y'all. Thank you for following along on this little solo pod. Maybe we'll do it more often. Let me know what topics you want me to address around dating and relationships. I have so much fun sharing with y'all. And yes, we will keep yapping and chatting. So talk to you later, friends.